Um, Hi, everybody. Okay, my name is Treistman. I am the Deputy Director of the website of the Knesset, the Israeli Parliament. I've been on the website staff since the beginning of the website of the Knesset. That's back in 1997. And so I have pretty much a long and wide experience with the world of parliamentary websites. Now, I'm going to share my screen. And you'll see that my screen is basically one, it's a bunch of sayings. And so you're going to probably wonder, like, what are all these, colorful sayings doing on the screen? And the answer is I'm kind of using it for myself as a cheat sheet to present to you guys the idea of how to structure a legislative portal. Again, sometimes, you have these cliches and they're kind of silly and you hear them over and over, but I'm going to apply them to this idea. And I'll start with, let's start with answering the question of what is a legislative portal? Now, the word portal is defined as a door. So if, let's say, we're talking about a legislative portal, we're talking about a door, let's say, to go into the legislature. If we're talking about a virtual legislative portal, okay, which is what we're talking about a door that leads you to all of the information that the legislature wants to present to the public. Now, again, sometimes we can say that a portal, once upon a time, literally might have been the door into the library of the door to the library of the parliament, or the door to the archive. Nowadays, when we talk about a portal, we're talking about an entry level, literally an entry place into all of the information that is there for the public to take. Now, so basically what we're talking about more or less is a website, some kind of a website that the public can access to get all of the information that is out there. Again, that legislature is interested in presenting to the public. Perhaps some parliaments want to present more to the public, perhaps some less. But nowadays, it's really hard to say that there's a parliament that wants to present nothing. That doesn't exist anymore. Now, when one wants to structure or to build a legislative portal, I'm actually not going to go into the nitty-gritties of doing something, literally building it in the HTML or any other kind of format that we're talking about, but I'm going to be talking about more the ideas around it, the issues that might affect building a website. Let's call it a parliamentary website, okay? Legislative portal, in our case, equals parliamentary website. Now, what issues will affect building that? First of all, whether or not you have a hostile or cooperative administration about how much they want information they want to share with the public, whether or not you have a generous or a very limited budget, whether or not you have employees who are the ones who are going to be working on this portal, are they passionate about that, passionate about getting the information out there, or are they indifferent? They just, they have a job to do, they just do it, and today they do it, tomorrow less so, whatever it is. And last, and definitely not least, where do the employees or the management of the website, where is their loyalty? Is it loyalty to the MPs? Is there loyalty to the public? Okay, the public deserves to have that information, especially since they're the ones who voted the MPs into place. Or is it the administration? The administration who controls the money, the budget. So each of these are also going to be part of my discussion. So first of all, let's start looking at the sayings that I put up online here, that I put up on the screen. So the first one that I'd like to discuss is really, let's look at the brown one. I don't know if you see actually my mouse, my cursor. Better something than nothing. So again, nowadays, it's got to be out there. Kind of like the idea of having parliamentary television. Parliamentary television, even if you have no ratings and there's no one watching, it's a must-have. So at the same time, a website is a must-have. Got to have something really better than nothing. And if nothing is literally nothing, then do something lower tech, do something cheaper, do something using more human hands than being automated, whatever it is, get your information out there. And again, nowadays it's pretty hard to say that we can get away with having nothing. Even if you have to put it, I don't know, on a Facebook page, or build a site on Wix, or build a site on WordPress, or have somebody build a site on their own server and then link it to their, whatever it is, the Parliament really needs to have something out there, better something than nothing. Let's talk about keep your eyes open. When you want to build a legislative portal, a website, okay, you need to do, there's a little bit of you need to do a little bit of homework. And by the way, this doesn't only include building a website from scratch. Obviously, it means also we're talking about building a new section to the website, something new that you're going to build. When I say keep your eyes open, I also mean kind of do your homework. Go look at other parliamentary websites and see what the rest of everybody's doing. And I know that Sarah likes what I have to say when I say shop for ideas. Go ahead and find what other parliaments are doing. You don't need to start from scratch. There's been a lot of thinking and a lot of energy put into building parliamentary websites. Learn from them. That's what I would suggest. One of my main suggestions. Also, by the way, keeping your eyes open also means keep your eyes open to how the public reacts. People once upon a time used to read more, and now they really want to watch more. And so when we say keep your eyes open to the public, it means, they want more video. They will absorb the information better if it's on video, possibly, or more people might get to it if it's on video. So again, keeping your eyes open also means, you can also say keeping your ears open to really what your public is doing now, and what they would, how you feel or how you can actually see what they will respond better to. Let's look at this one in the corner, which seems to be a little bit, by me, it's actually covered by me, where it says, do what you can with what you have and where you are. Now, this is kind of going back to better something than nothing. And by the way, when I'm going to contradict myself with some of these sayings. By the way, Theodore Roosevelt said this quote. Now, sometimes you might be limited in everything, okay? And again, when I said better something than nothing, and I said, if you have to do something lower tech, dumbing it down, cheaper, whatever it is, if that's what you have, then that's what you have to work with, okay? Now, another thing is that also remember who we are. We are a parliament. I'm not a consumer site. I'm not trying to sell anything. I want to get information out there. And if that means putting up pages that are just documents, a whole list of links of documents, again, that goes back to better something than nothing. That's what I have. That's what I can afford. That's what I will do. At the very beginning of the Knesset website, we didn't have anything automated. So we spent our days copying and pasting, copy, paste, the agenda from the internal system to the website, copy, paste, copy, paste. That's what we had. That's how we got the information out there. That's what we did. And again, if that's what you have, that way you can get your information, get your information that way to the public. Now, having said that, let's look at think outside the box. Now, thinking outside the box is actually a contradiction to what I said here, which was keep your eyes open. So keeping your eyes open meant go and shop for ideas. Think outside the box says take ideas that you find from other parliamentary websites and then make them your own. It might not be, maybe you have, you found a very cool site that showed the progress of the legislative process for each law. And it was a little bit different. And you don't like the colors they used for each stage. Okay, so you take the idea and then think outside the box, change it, make it in a way that is useful for you and the way that you think that your public will react better. Also, thinking outside the box sometimes means you can think outside the box technologically. If you don't have the budget that you need to make an automated system that connects again to the internal system of the parliament, then like I said earlier, there's always the copy paste option. Perhaps there's again, let's talk about, you can use other technologies rather than again, using the main database and tapping into that. Maybe you can use open data with JSON files. Maybe you can use simple arrays, create simple arrays with what there is. Whatever it is, again, thinking outside the box means thinking outside the box also with the way it's presented to the public, thinking outside the box behind the scenes on a technological level if you need to. And let's think about the box for a second about measuring success. All right, everyone thinks that successful website is a website that has more hits and is always improving in its hits, visits, however you want to call it. Or you can even say, let's say unique visits. Maybe we can think outside the box and say, you know what, we can measure success not by how many people are accessing the site, but maybe how much information is out there. If I have 1,000 pages out there and there are 3 people looking at 100 of them, all right, then maybe that's more successful than having 100 people looking at 3 pages. I don't know. I'm just throwing out these ideas to think outside the box. And so again, you can think outside the box in terms of presentation, in terms of technology behind, and in terms of thinking about your own success and how you measure it. My favorite, this one is my favorite. My favorite saying is less is more. Now, less is more. Think about Google. I did a Wayback Machine. I don't know if you all know what the Wayback Machine is. It's a website, an amazing website that keeps screenshots of websites pretty much forever. And I took a look at when Google started in 1998. I took a look at the screen, and you know what? It's really almost identical, not 100% identical, almost identical to its screen now. What is Google's success? Less is more. You get to a Google screen, there's one search box, a few other links, and that's it. Now, I also took a look at some other search engines, and there are those. I'll use Yandex as an example. Yandex, when you look at their old pages, it used to look like much more like what you would call a portal. Lots of links everywhere and all kinds of other stuff popping up on the screen. And now when you look at Yandex, it looks more like Google. It seems that the idea of less is more over time seems to have been shopped around or swiped or borrowed by other search engines because it's successful. It works. Less is more. Please apply to your website. First of all, when you have navigation in the website and you have, again, thousands of pages, but you also have, let's say, I don't know, 25 categories that people can find on your site, the spirit of the day is telling everybody, and again, when you shop for ideas and you look at all the different parliamentary websites, you will see this. You will see that many parliamentary websites have gathered their categories into larger or more general categories, so that when a person comes to a website, they will see 4 or 5 max larger categories, and from there they can drop down and then access more pages. The drop down can either be in the form of menus, or it can be in the form of lobby pages where you click and then you get a whole bunch of links. Now, less is more also applies sometimes to, and here's where sometimes we have the challenge at the Knesset website staff. A lot of our, when I say clients, I also mean there are, when I say clients, there are departments in the Knesset that put their information up on the website. And we try to tell them, write less, please write less, please, short headlines and short topics. And then if you have more to say, send it off to a document. And again, that's always a challenge to try to get people who, again, and why is that such a challenge? Because our tendency is, wait, we have so much information, let's get it all out there. Please see everything we have to say. And again, remember, less is more. It is more likely to get read if there are 3 words than if there are 20. I promise. You'll see this as it comes along. So again, short categories, short headlines, and short text when when that comes along. All right, you get what you pay for. Let's look at that one. That's up here. You get what you pay for. Now again, that seems like a contradiction to what I said earlier. Do with what you can with what you have. All right, so, okay, I said this earlier, if you need to go cheaper, then go cheaper. At the same time, when I say you get what you pay for, I'm gonna use an example. You have a large budget or a decent sized budget, and then you have companies that are coming to you and they're saying, I can do this for this, and I can do this for this. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Remember that. And one of the things that we've found in our experience is sometimes when you pay too little, you end up paying double, because either you get what you paid for, it's no good, and you throw it away, and then you start all over again and pay again, or you paid a very small amount of money, but then you realize your end up product, the website that was developed for you, is not really what you wanted. It's only part of what you wanted, and you pay more, and you pay more, and then you pay more, and then eventually you get what you paid for, eventually. But so that's something that's very important to please keep that in mind. Again, I contradict myself, and I will say, if you don't have the means, do with what you have, okay? But if you have the means, be careful. Again, don't waste your money, but also, again, don't, if you try to be too cheap, it'll end up being expensive. Again, that comes from experience. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Sometimes when we develop either a new site, a sub-site, or a new section of our website, for, letting alone redeveloping an entire website, we have a tendency to say, what if, okay, what if the budget runs out next year? What if it ends up being too expensive and we don't finish the job? What if, the world starts using screens that are even smaller? Or what if altogether they stop using computers and they're only using small devices? What if? And again, the answer to the what ifs is basically live in the present, okay? Live in the present with an eye on the future, of course, but don't overdo the what ifs or you'll never do anything. And so again, having in mind, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. There are always going to be new situations. Who thought back in 2012, when we were redesigning the website, okay, we did a major overhaul on the website, who knew that we're going to need to take into account cell phones, smartphones? We had no idea, but we crossed that bridge when we came to it. Again, sometimes we crossed it a little bit later than we would have liked to, but the point is that there's no end to the what ifs, and try to keep in mind, do what you can with what you have. And then when you get to another issue that comes up, then deal with it. We like to say sometimes in our department, no whining, no complaining, just do it. All right, I sound like a Nike commercial. Anyhow, the last saying that I would like to talk about is a good beginning makes a good ending. Now you notice that I put that into parentheses. And the reason I put that into parentheses is because it's an ideal. This is something that we all want to strive for. Most of the time we actually miss that mark. I can say a good beginning makes a good ending means when you plan well, and when you spend the time planning, the chances of a project succeeding is much higher. Now, again, everyone tries to plan, everyone starts to plan. It doesn't always work out. But again, in a perfect parliamentary world, we have the time, we have the energy, we have the budget, and then we build it exactly as it's planned. So therefore it comes out right and good and perfect. Again, we can, one can apply this principle. It's easier to apply this principle when you're talking about a smaller project. And again, I put that, like I said, I put that into parentheses because that is our ideal. In theory, plan well, and then it will come out good. I'm going to contradict myself though by reminding you what I said earlier, which was better something than nothing. If planning is going to get you in the way of doing, and sometimes that happens, do better than do. That's better to do than better to sit and plan. There are those who love meetings and there's those who love working. There's got to be a balance between them, because if you sit and meet all day, then you don't get anything done. But then if you do and do without meeting and then telling everybody else what you're doing, then you can end up also botching up projects. So again, find the balance. And that's basically pretty much what I wanted to say with all of the all of the different sayings, you've got to find the balance and, the ability to get that information out there to the public. Now, one last quick note after a conversation that I had with Louis is that it's come to my attention that there might be parliaments out there, either sub-legislatures or parliaments of countries that for whatever reason are lacking a legislative portal. And there are obviously all the rest of the parliaments that have a legislative portal. And I think that if there's a need for a legislature, a parliament to build a legislative portal, I am sure that other parliaments with their experience would be more than happy to help out other parliaments. So my point is that if, and when I say offer, I mean offer advice, offer a helping hand in some way, some technological advice, hosting on a server if need be. So again, this is my call to all of you people out there in parliamentary IT land to help be available, and let's see if we can help all of the parliaments get their information out there, because that's really where it all needs to be, because that's where the public put the MPs there. It's really their right to see what's going on in their parliament. And with that, I will finish my presentation.